The following program is brought to you by Arlington Community Media, where we tell your story. An Arlington man who was an illustrator for the U.S. Mint is the keynote speaker at the Old Schwamb Mill this week. Two of his designs grace the flip side of scores of U.S. quarters, honoring two women who were nearly lost to history. A major Arlington business gets rid of its toxic rat poison. This after Arlington lost another beloved bald eagle. Now, Armstrong controls the rat population using one of many alternative methods. And did you know Arlington is considered to be among the safest towns in America? It's true. A Major.com has crunched the numbers, and we have come out on top. ACMi News starts right now.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
The hearing for the former owner of an Arlington plumbing company and the town's Inspectional Services Department director is set to take place roughly 6 weeks from now, before the state. Hello, I'm Karen Soy.
Hello, and I'm Paul Werlin. The Massachusetts Ethics Commission alleges that Michael Byrne repeatedly allowed his plumbing company to do work without permits or inspections and created fraudulent permits after work was done. Here's ACMi News Director Jeff Barnd.
The hearing for retired Arlington Inspectional Services Director Michael Byrne has now been set for 4 days in early June. According to Your Arlington, the date was set following a decision made on March the 2nd at a state ethics commission hearing. ACMi News, you'll recall, reported in January that according to that commission, Byrne repeatedly violated the state conflict of interest law by allowing his plumbing company to do work in the town of Arlington without permits or inspections. Byrne was the owner of Trademark Plumbing at 1337 Mass Ave, which dissolved late last year, and he was also the director of the town of Arlington's Inspectional Services Department for 24 years, from 1997 to 2021. He was charged in a commission complaint filed back in December. According to the commission, Byrne allowed Trademark Plumbing to perform plumbing work in Arlington without permits at nearly 40 locations and without inspections at 8 locations between 2016 and 2020. The commission also alleges that while Byrne was serving as Inspectional Services Director, he created 8 fraudulent plumbing permits for work that Trademark Plumbing had performed without permits. According to Your Arlington, the commission had initially scheduled a public hearing regarding these particular allegations for May the 7th, at which time it could very well impose a civil penalty of up to $10,000 for each and every violation of the conflict of interest law. But Byrne's attorney requested, and then was granted, an extension to the month of June. The hearing is now set to take place from June 5th through the 8th, beginning at 10 a.m. daily. ACMi News tried calling Byrne at his posted number for comment. His phone line was discontinued. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnd.
Arlington has a new deputy town manager and finance director. His name is Alex McGee. The deputy town manager performs crucial administrative duties like preparing the operating and capital budgets and the 5-year long-range plan, formulating health insurance policy, and conducting collective bargaining. McGee comes to Arlington from Hamilton, where he was finance director. He oversaw the finance department, planned Hamilton's budget, and was a member of the collective bargaining team. Town manager Sandy Pooler says he's thrilled to have McGee at Town Hall.
He has experience both in very big communities and smaller communities, a lot of personal experience doing finances, doing collective bargaining. So he started a week ago last Monday and is just getting comfortable. I think he'll be a great member of the team. I look forward to having him take over a lot of things that I've been doing. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think he'll be a great asset for the town. So I'm sure all of you who pay attention to the town's finances will see him and hear from him or in the near future.
Before working in Hamilton, McGee worked in the city of Lowell for over 8 years as data management analyst, assistant to the city manager, and served as deputy director of administration and finance for its public works department.
The Select Board is set to interview one finalist for town manager Monday, March 27th, and that is our current deputy town manager for operations. Jim Feeney has been a familiar face at Town Hall for the last 14 years. Town Council Doug Heim reportedly got the green light from the state to publicly name Feeney. Feeney has had his hands full lately with multiple duties at Town Hall, namely tackling the significant damage to the Town Hall structure, which includes major water damage to the ceiling of the historic Lions hearing room. Feeney's candidacy was made public after 3 former finalists to succeed Sandy Pooler as town manager withdrew with no public explanation provided. Thousands of people nationwide were protesting outside major banks on Tuesday, March 21st, calling on several banks to shift investments away from fossil fuel companies. And a few Arlington residents took part. They could be found demonstrating in front of the Bank of America at Lexington Center. Some protesters were cutting up their bank cards and urging banks, including J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citi, to stop funding fossil fuel projects, which they say contribute significantly to human-caused climate change. A climate activism group known as Third Act, largely made up of retirees, organized the nationwide events ahead of annual meetings where investors can propose changes to corporate policies. 100 protests took place nationwide from Juneau, Alaska to Washington, D.C. Last week, ACMi interviewed an Arlington man who has a very exclusive job. Chris Costello is an artist and illustrator for the U.S. Mint. Recently, 2 of his designs were approved to be featured on the backside of our quarters to honor our women in American history. Costello was the key speaker at an event at the Old Schwamb Mill on Saturday, March 18th to discuss his works. ACMi News Director Jeff Barn reports that Chris, through his amazing talent, has brought back to life 2 women in our past who were nearly lost to history.
I think it's really interesting. The work that I do as a coin designer brings me into amazing spaces as far as research goes. A lot of the women that are honored on these coin series, I've never heard about, and a lot of you haven't heard either.
Discussing our little-known past in a rustic and historic setting, visitors were invited to come to the Old Schwamb Mill to hear a talk by Dallin Museum trustee Chris Costello. Costello is an illustrator and artist with the U.S. Mint. 2 of his works are currently featured on the back of U.S. quarters. And in this Women's History Month, guests learn how these quarters honoring the Mexican-American suffragist Nina Otero Warren and Afro-Indigenous aviator Bessie Coleman were developed and produced, and how the legacies of these little-known but remarkable women inspired the direction of his meticulous designs.
In some cases, the histories have been suppressed because of the climate of the time. But it's awesome that we're able to kind of contribute as artists to bring these stories back to life again. And they've got a whole committee's committed to deciding on who should be honored on each coin. And I think consider it's an amazing honor just to be selected to participate.
And these are the coins that are circulating today.
The relevance to this program today is that Cyrus Dallin was a coin and metal designer. And he was one of those figurative sculptors from the 19th and early 20th century, along the lines of Augustus St. Gaudens and James Earl Fraser, who really elevated coin and metal design to a high art. And we're so lucky because Chris Costello, who is a resident of Arlington and a trustee of the Dallin Museum, in his work for the Mint carries on that tradition of coin and metal design. So that's the connection between the Dallin Museum and Chris's work.
The Mint is proud of the newest circulating coin program, the American Women Quarters Program, which recognizes female trailblazers and their contributions to our nation. From 2022 through 2025, the American Women Quarters Program will celebrate a broad and diverse group of women on the reverse.
The American Women Quarters is a 4-year program of the Mint celebrating the contributions of trailblazing women in the U.S. Beginning in 2022 and continuing through 2025, the U.S. Mint expects to issue up to 5 new reverse designs each year.
I don't want to come across as if I'm an authority on these issues. I think I want to be able to present a discussion that involves us all, because I feel like I'm a learner, I'm a student of history, and the research that's involved in these projects really draws me down paths I've never been before. So it's all a new discovery, and each one of these women has amazing histories that I knew nothing about.
Costello says he's honored to be in a very select group of historic artists whose works have graced our U.S. coins to tell the fascinating story of our nation.
It's just an absolute thrill to be able to see your artwork on a coin that millions of other people around the country and in many cases around the world will be able to see as well. So it's a thrill. It's a unique thrill. I consider myself blessed, and it's a great opportunity.
For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnum.
This talk is co-sponsored by Arlington's Cyrus Dallin Art Museum and the Old Schwamb Mill. Arlington's town election is set for April 1st, and that's just around the corner. In recent weeks, ACMi News has been profiling the challengers and incumbents in the races for Board of Assessors, Select Board, School Committee, and Town Clerk. Tonight, we feature Liz Exton for School Committee. Ms. Exton has served on the committee since June 2020. Since then, committee members have coped with the pandemic, hiring a new school superintendent, and building a state-of-the-art high school. From this ACMi-produced candidate profile, Liz Exton tells us why she is seeking re-election.
I'm running for re-election because the work isn't done. Realizing our strategic plan will require both experience on the school committee and the practical knowledge that comes from a classroom teacher. The 4 strategic initiatives will require thoughtful planning, careful analysis, and fiscal decisions. My first goal is communication. Over 100 community stakeholders participated in our visioning process. We have set up our school committee chats. We are going to keep inviting parents and community members in to keep talking to us about their experiences with the schools and what needs they see. Our new superintendent has been a strong partner for involving the community in decision-making. We need to use communication to make our community more welcoming, especially for families whose first language is not English. We need to improve outreach and communication to families just joining the schools, either in kindergarten or when moving into town. I am proud to be a member of the Arlington School Committee, and I want to continue to serve our community in this capacity. My name is Elizabeth Exton, and I respectfully ask for one of your votes on Saturday, April 1st. Thank you.
You'll find all of the candidates' profiles leading up to the election day on our YouTube page, youtube.com/ACMiTV. Again, that's youtube.com/ACMiTV. To learn more about it, just go to the town webpage, arlingtonma.gov/election.
Come April 1st, 2 seats are up for grabs on the Select Board. Both are for 3-year terms. On Tuesday, March 21st, ACMi staged a Select Board debate among the 3 candidates, challenger ACMi Board President and attorney John Leone, and the 2 incumbents Diane Mahan and Leonard Diggins. The debate was moderated by ACMi's James Millan.
I welcome the opportunity to convey my enthusiasm for continuing to work with my colleagues on the Select Board, the new town manager, who we are in the process of electing, town staff, and of course you, my fellow residents. First and foremost, I am a resident of Arlington, and I always try to see issues from the residents' point of view. When you have a problem or a question that I can't solve or answer on my own, I am happy to point you in the right direction. When you have an idea, I try to work with you to pursue it in a way that is pragmatic and productive. My goal is to support you, but I also try to be honest and realistic about the likelihood of success.
Our continued success is not a foregone conclusion. My concerns are policy decisions facing the board and our town. It is time to reassess and set our priorities and decisions making for where we want to be in 5 to 10 years. As we emerge from the pandemic turmoil, I believe that the focus on long-term planning is imperative and critical for maintaining a sustainable community for both new and old residents alike. I will ensure that long-term thinking, planning, and policy decisions remain squarely on the table of the Select Board. I will bring an energy and a direction of purpose to the board that is sorely needing at this time.
I am seeking re-election to the Select Board as it has been a long-standing passion of mine to help all the residents in the town. My number one job has been and will continue to be constituent services and the wide umbrella that encompasses. I've always tried to make Arlington's local government understandable and accessible to everyone. There is no issue too small or too complicated that I will not devote all of my energy to help resolve. I want to continue to work on the important issues facing Arlington, such as climate change, climate resiliency, the preservation of the Mugar wetland, restoration of the clean Alewife Brook, housing and affordability, transportation and public safety, and diversity and equity. And I'm committed on working to find the right solution for everyone.
You can see all ACMi produced debates on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ACMiTV. And you can get all of your election information on the town webpage, arlingtonma.gov/election.
If you watch ACMi News on a regular basis, you've no doubt seen our coverage of the death of MK, Arlington's 8-year-old bald eagle, less than 1 month ago. According to wildlife experts, she died after ingesting a rodent laced with a second-generation anticoagulant, rodenticides, better known as SGARs. MK's death has been changing some past behavior in town lately. For instance, Armstrong Ambulance Service on Mystic Street once used SGARs to keep rats at bay. But just days after MK's death, ACMi News Director Jeff Barnes reports they've chosen an alternative method of rat control.
Just walk around the perimeter of the Armstrong Ambulance Service building at 87 Mystic Street, and you'll see several black boxes around the property. But these black casings no longer contain SGARs. They contain the non-poisonous and very reliable snap traps. The change came about quickly after MK, Arlington's so-called Lady of the Lakes, reportedly preyed on a rodent laced with SGARs and died just a few weeks ago.
After MK passed away, we found out on social media that some of the traps that we had around our property had some, there was a poison-based system. So we called our pest control company and had them come in. We collected the boxes immediately and got them basically away from any animals or wildlife. And when they came about 3 or 4 days later, they came up with a solution just to put traps inside. So the boxes are still the same, but we removed all the poisons from inside, and it's just a trap system that they come back and check every few weeks and just dispose of the animals inside as needed.
Just take a look out the window at Armstrong, and you're just a few hundred yards from the bald eagle's nest where MK once called home. Sean Magan says Armstrong workers also enjoyed this magnificent view of our wildlife from this perch.
We all noticed it. There's a window just above us that a lot of us look out and would see MK fly by, and her significant other, I guess, I don't know the name of the male eagle, but KZ. So we still see him fly by, but we see red-tailed hawks out here and all kinds of wildlife. So we like to look out the window and enjoy. We don't see a lot of bald eagles in this area, so it's really nice to see. So it took a toll on us a little bit too. We missed seeing them fly around together. So that's kind of why we move so fast. The pest control company that we used came out. They were very knowledgeable. They were very helpful. They understood the situation, and they were very quick to act with us, too. So it was very helpful for both.
The mission statement here at Armstrong hasn't changed much in its 75-plus-year history. It highlights a deep commitment to providing the best possible service and medical care to each patient, helping people in need each and every day. And now with ridding the building of second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides, Sean Magan says saving lives at Armstrong isn't solely limited to people.
And we take animals a lot. If there's a house fire and there's a cat or a dog inside, we provide oxygen to them, and we don't necessarily transport them, but we do provide care to them because they're part of people's families, and we get that.
And that's expanded now to the raptors in this area.
Yes, correct, for sure, for sure.
For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
To get more information on SGARs and their effects on raptors, go to savearlingtonwildlife.org. Again, that's savearlingtonwildlife.org. You can also take the Poison-Free Pledge at that website. The Poison-Free Pledge is a commitment to live poison-free to help keep owls and other wild animals safe.
The town of Arlington has just received nationwide recognition when it comes to safety. A well-known financial website ranks Arlington among the safest small towns in America. That ranking was released last month and was reached by simply crunching some financial numbers. And much of the credit can go to Arlington's men and women in blue. Earlier this month, Arlington was ranked among the 15 safest small towns and cities in the U.S. That, according to MoneyGeek, a financial advice website. Arlington tops the list out of 660 cities and towns nationwide.
To us, it's about doing what's best for the community, keeping crime rate down, and also quality of life. There's so much more to this than just fighting crime. It's really about quality of life issues in town.
The results are based on MoneyGeek's analysis of 2021 FBI crime statistics, including violent crime and property crime. That way, it's easier to quantify the cost of crime in each city and town. The analyst at MoneyGeek said that crime also impacts communities economically. Besides the obvious crime costs such as loss of property, services for victims, policing and corrections, high crime rates generally result in higher insurance premiums for all residents. And after that is taken into account and all those numbers are crunched, MoneyGeek says Arlington is considered the 5th safest small town in the U.S., with a crime cost per capita at $65. The data also shows a violent crime rate in Arlington of 41.5 per 100,000 residents, violent crimes such as murder and aggravated assault. The property crime rate in Arlington, which refers to burglary, larceny, theft, motor vehicle theft, and arson, was 295 per 100,000 residents.
I think we've been doing community policing before it was called community policing. It's about listening to the people in the community and partnering with other groups and departments in the community just to provide the best possible services you can. And I'm going on my 30th year this year, and we've been doing it since I got here. And again, like I said, might not have had a name to it then, but we believe in that. We believe in listening to the people in the community and doing, not just what you see out in the street sometimes when you drive by and you might see a cruiser with its lights on doing a car stop, but it's all the other stuff, the behind the scenes stuff that we do to try to proactively be a good police agency and provide for the community in a multitude of different ways.
For years now, Arlington's police department has served as a model nationwide for other law enforcement agencies, particularly when it comes to restorative justice and a strong emphasis on community policing. Instead of just answering an emergency call and immediately diffusing any situation that occurs, Arlington's police officers are expected to do all that they can to build rapport and partnerships with citizens through positive interactions.
It's about partnering and listening, and then doing your absolute best to make sure that everybody has a chance at a good quality life in town.
For ACMi News, I'm Karen Sui. Other communities in Massachusetts ranked the top 15 safest small cities and towns include Andover, Needham, and North Andover.
How many newscasts have you seen where the reporter gets to talk to a duck? Well, maybe 2 or 3 tops. Well, ACMi News got to talk to Dan Ross, a man who's best known as the 3rd person in nearly 90 years to officially be the sacred voice of Donald Duck.
He's also the voice of Lucky the Leprechaun for those Lucky Charms serial TV ads, and most recently Gizmo and Stripe from the Gremlins franchise for the game Multiverses.
We got to talk to Ross, who has fun with one of Disney's most iconic characters, but with it comes a great responsibility.
He's 88 years old, or 87 or 88 years old. You are, I understand, only the 3rd person to officially voice this character for Disney. That's huge.
That's correct. He likes to say he's 88 years young.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm the 3rd person to have officially voiced him in TV and media, and the honor is incredible and not lost on me. The weight of such a huge and beloved character. It's just been the joy of a lifetime to, as I like to say, borrow the keys to the cabin cruiser, Donald's car, so to speak.
There you go. Now, before we go any further, you got to give us Donald Duck. I mean, we're talking about the fact that you're a I can see why you got the job.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Now, first of all, I guess early in life you realized, man, this is something I really want to do. And you had a big a person in your life, quite obviously, who inspired you, and it seemed to be your mom.
That's right. So Donald Duck was the very first voice that I learned how to do when I was a kid. My mom taught me when I was 3 years old. And that was our love language. That's how we would talk to each other. So she would pull me into the room and say, "Oh, Daniel, I love you so much." And I would say, "Oh, Mom, I love you too." And so that was the whole thing. And then, obviously entertaining friends or, kids at birthday parties or doing voicemail messages for people. I never thought in a million years I'd come out to Los Angeles and actually have a shot at voicing Donald Duck. But yeah, she taught me when I was young and, was here through the entire duration of this journey. And in my curtain call for Mickey and Minnie's Wish Upon a Christmas, that was the last thing we saw with each other before she unfortunately passed from cancer this year. So it was a journey from beginning to end. She taught me how to do it to the point where I said, let me submit for the Emmy, let me try to honor her through my work. And the last thing that I worked on as Donald, and here we are. We got the Emmy nomination. And so that has been so fulfilling. And I'm just so grateful to have had an opportunity to honor my mother in this particular way and as a piece of this journey. So that's really been tremendous for me. True Disney magic, if I might say.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure you feel as though your mom is somehow reaching out to you with the fact that you were nominated and you did submit this in her honor. And she was known affectionately by you as Mama Duck, correct?
That's right. And she loved to be called Mama Duck. If we were at CVS, or some other store together, she would see someone and say, "My son is Donald Duck." And they'd go, "Okay, sure. All right, lady."
Okay, we're just gonna keep on going down aisle 9. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Exactly. She was so happy and so proud of that accomplishment. And really, it wasn't Donald Duck that I set out to do. I set out to just be a voice actor and do as many things as possible. So the fact that thing that voice has followed me for my entire life, and I actually get to do it, is just something else entirely.
Maybe I'm just a duck, but I'm human. A man understands us so much.
Just days after we interviewed Ross, he won the Emmy as Donald in the movie Mickey and Minnie Wish Upon a Christmas.
And he says he feels as Lucky the Leprechaun, which, when you think of it, makes perfect sense.
That'll do it for us here this week at ACMi News. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Karen Sui. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.